If you can be replaced, you will be replaced. In a world that forgets people in seconds, your only real power is this: being needed. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you will never look at success the same way again. Welcome to Career Canvas Power, where transformation becomes your identity. Here, we turn knowledge into real power for your life. Listen carefully, because this is not a soft lesson, this is a truth most people are afraid to accept. In this world, you have been taught that independence is everything. You are told to be self-made, to stand alone, to need no one. But here is the uncomfortable reality: independence may give you pride, but it does not guarantee you power. Power comes from something deeper, something more strategic. It comes from making others depend on you. Think about it. The moment people stop needing you, your value starts fading. The moment you become replaceable, your position becomes fragile. You can be talented, hardworking, even intelligent, but if no one depends on you, you are just another option in a world full of options. And options are easily replaced. But when you become essential, when people feel they cannot function without you, your presence becomes power. Your absence becomes a problem. Your value becomes undeniable. This law is not about controlling others in a cheap way, it is about positioning yourself so strongly that your importance cannot be ignored. You do not rise by doing everything alone. You rise by becoming someone others cannot do without. And once you reach that level, your position is no longer temporary, it becomes secured, protected, and respected. Understand this deeply: if you want to stay independent, you must ensure that others always need you. It sounds like a contradiction, but it is the ultimate strategy. True independence is not about isolation, it is about being in a position where losing you would create a gap no one can easily fill. The more people rely on you, the more control you gain over your own life. Because when you are needed, you are not easily removed. When you are wanted, you are not easily ignored. Most people make a critical mistake: they try to prove their strength by showing they need no one. But in doing so, they also make themselves unnecessary to others. And once you are unnecessary, you are invisible. You must flip this mindset. Instead of asking, "How can I do everything myself?" ask, "How can I become so valuable that others cannot move forward without me?" Make yourself a source of something people crave: knowledge, skills, solutions, emotional stability, opportunities. When people depend on you for their happiness, their growth, or their success, you reach a level where fear disappears. Why? Because you are no longer fighting to survive, you are the one others are trying to keep. And when people are trying to keep you, you hold the power, not them. Now go even deeper into this principle, because this is where most people fail to truly understand the game. The foundation of this law is simple but ruthless: dependence creates control. There is no shortcut around this truth. If people do not need you, they will not think about you. If they do not think about you, they will not value you. And if they do not value you, they will replace you without hesitation. This is how the world works, whether you like it or not. Look around: jobs, relationships, businesses, even friendships, everything operates on value and need. The moment your contribution becomes optional, your position becomes temporary. But the moment your presence becomes necessary, everything changes. Your voice carries weight. Your absence creates discomfort. Your existence becomes important. This is not manipulation, it is strategy. It is understanding human behavior at its core. People protect what they need. They invest in what they cannot replace. They respect what they depend on. So if you want power, stop trying to be liked by everyone. Focus on being needed by the right people. Build skills that are rare. Offer solutions that are difficult to find. Create value that cannot be easily copied. And most importantly, never make the mistake of giving everything away so easily that people learn to live without you. Leave a gap that only you can fill. Because in that gap lies your power. In that need lies your control. And in that dependence lies your security. Now understand the engine behind this law. How exactly do you create this dependence? It is not by begging for attention, not by forcing people to stay, and definitely not by trying to control everything. It is done through value, real, undeniable value. You must offer something that people genuinely need, something that solves their problems, something that makes their life easier, better, or more successful. And here is where most people fail: they offer what is common. They do what everyone else can do, and then they wonder why they are ignored. If what you provide can be easily found somewhere else, then you are not valuable, you are replaceable. So you must rise above the ordinary. Build skills that are rare. Develop knowledge that is deep. Create solutions that are not easily copied. Become the person people think of first when they face a problem. And then, take it one step further: control access. Not in a selfish or manipulative way, but in a strategic way. Do not give everything so freely that people stop needing you. Leave a gap, a space where your presence becomes necessary. Because the goal is simple and ruthless, do not aim to be liked, aim to be essential. Optional people are forgotten. Essential people are protected. And if you become essential, your position becomes untouchable. Now step into the human mind, because power is not just about actions, it is about psychology. People are driven more by fear than by logic, and one of the strongest fears is the fear of losing something they depend on. Think about it: when someone becomes a source of stability in your life, when they bring you results, comfort, growth, or success, you start attaching value to them. You start relying on them. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start fearing their absence. This is the exact point where power begins. Because when people fear losing you, they stop challenging you. They stop questioning you. They start protecting you, not because they love you, not because they admire you, but because they need you. And this is a hard truth: loyalty is often not pure, it is practical. People stay loyal to what benefits them. They defend what supports them. So if you become a pillar in someone's success or stability, they will hesitate before going against you. They will think twice before replacing you. They will even ignore your flaws, just to keep you in their life. This is why emotional attachment alone is weak, but dependence is strong. Emotions can change overnight, but dependence creates hesitation, and hesitation creates control. So understand this clearly: if you want influence over people, do not just win their hearts, position yourself in a way that losing you becomes a risk they cannot afford. Now bring everything together into one ruthless, undeniable strategy. The more people rely on you, the less they will challenge you. This is not theory, this is reality. When someone knows they need you, they will think carefully before opposing you. They will measure their words, control their actions, and avoid conflict, because they cannot afford to lose what you provide. This is how silent power works. You do not need to dominate loudly, you do not need to prove yourself again and again. Your importance speaks for you. And the less replaceable you are, the stronger your position becomes. Replaceable people are always under pressure. They are always trying to prove themselves. They are always afraid of being removed. But irreplaceable people, they move differently. They have leverage, they have control, they have freedom, because they know that their absence would create a problem others cannot easily solve. And that is the ultimate goal: not to be the best in the room, but to be the one the room cannot function without. So stop chasing approval, stop trying to impress everyone. Instead, build your value so deeply that your presence becomes necessary. Make yourself a solution to problems people cannot ignore. Become the bridge they must cross, the support they cannot remove, the resource they cannot replace. Because in the end, power is not about how strong you look, it is about how needed you are. And once you become needed, you stop chasing power, power starts following you. Now look at the harsh reality of failure, because this is where the lesson becomes real. History is full of talented people who lost everything, not because they lacked skill, but because they made themselves replaceable. They believed that being good was enough. They believed that sharing everything would make them respected. They believed that training others fully would make them secure. But what actually happened? They slowly erased their own importance. When you give away all your knowledge without strategy, you remove your own uniqueness. When you train someone to do exactly what you do, you create your own replacement. And once people realize they can function without you, your value starts disappearing. It does not happen suddenly, it happens quietly. One day you are important, the next day you are optional, and then one day, you are gone. That is the brutal truth. Many advisors, employees, and even leaders faced this fate. They worked hard, they contributed, but they failed to protect their position. And the moment their usefulness ended, they were removed without hesitation. No emotions, no loyalty, no second chances. Because in the world of power, usefulness decides survival. So understand this deeply: if you can be replaced, you will be replaced. It is not personal, it is practical. And if you are replaceable, you are powerless. Now let's step into history, because real power leaves real evidence. Look at the contrast between Nicolas Fouquet and Jean-Baptiste Colbert under Louis XIV. Fouquet was powerful, wealthy, and influential. He had everything that looks like power on the surface. But he made a fatal mistake: he focused on displaying his power instead of securing it. He showed off his wealth, his status, his independence. And in doing so, he made himself look dangerous, and worse, replaceable. He did not tie his value directly to the king's needs. He did not make himself indispensable. On the other side was Colbert, a man who understood the game deeply. He did not try to outshine the king. He did not try to appear superior. Instead, he made himself essential. He controlled the financial system. He became the brain behind the kingdom's economic strength. He positioned himself in such a way that removing him would create chaos. And this changed everything. The king did not need Fouquet, but he needed Colbert. And in the world of power, that difference decides fate. Fouquet was imprisoned, his power destroyed. Colbert rose higher, stronger, untouchable. This is not luck, this is strategy. The lesson is clear and ruthless: power does not belong to the one who shines the brightest, it belongs to the one who is needed the most. Now bring all these lessons together and lock them into your mindset, because this is where transformation begins. If you truly want power, stop thinking like everyone else. Stop chasing attention, stop chasing approval, stop trying to prove how great you are. Instead, focus on one thing: becoming indispensable. Make yourself so valuable that your absence creates a problem. Control something that matters: knowledge, skills, connections, resources, something that people cannot easily find elsewhere. Do not rush to make others fully independent of you. Help them, guide them, support them, but always leave a space where your presence is still required. Build reliance step by step, slowly, strategically. Because sudden dependence breaks easily, but gradual dependence becomes strong and lasting. Become useful in ways that are difficult to copy. Not just surface-level skills, but deep expertise, unique thinking, rare solutions. Understand this clearly: security does not come from working harder, it comes from being needed more. When people rely on you, they protect you. When they protect you, your position becomes stable. And when your position becomes stable, your power starts growing naturally. This is not about controlling people in a negative way, it is about securing your place in a world that replaces the weak without thinking twice. So rise above the ordinary. Become essential. Because the more needed you are, the more powerful you become. And once you reach that level, you are no longer fighting to stay, you are the one others cannot afford to lose. Now understand this clearly: every powerful strategy has a dark side, and if you ignore it, it will destroy you. Creating dependence gives you power, but too much dependence creates pressure, and pressure creates resentment. If people start feeling trapped, controlled, or suffocated, they will not stay loyal, they will start looking for ways to escape. And when they find that chance, they will not just leave, they may turn against you. This is where many people make a dangerous mistake: they try to control everything, every decision, every movement, every outcome. But power is not about suffocating others, it is about guiding them without making them feel powerless. The moment people feel like they have no freedom, trust starts breaking. And once trust breaks, your influence weakens, no matter how strong your position looks. Also remember this brutal truth: your power exists only as long as your value exists. The moment your skills become outdated, your knowledge becomes common, or your contribution becomes less important, your dependence disappears, and so does your power. So never become comfortable, never assume your position is permanent. Keep evolving, keep improving, keep strengthening your value. The goal is not to make people feel controlled. The goal is to make them feel that staying with you is their best choice. Maintain dependence, but do it subtly, intelligently, without ego. Because real power is not forced, it is accepted. Now go deeper, because true mastery is not blind application, it is knowing when to apply and when to hold back. There are moments where dependence can become dangerous, not just for others, but for you. If you become too dependent on someone else, you lose your own power. Your decisions, your stability, your future, all start resting in someone else's hands. And that is weakness, not strength. At the same time, if someone becomes too dependent on you, it can also backfire. Why? Because extreme dependence creates insecurity, fear, and eventually frustration. People who feel completely dependent may start blaming you for their limitations. They may feel stuck, and that feeling can turn into resistance or even rebellion. So what is the solution? Balance. Always balance. Give people limited independence. Let them feel capable. Let them feel they have control over their own lives. Because when people feel free, they stay. When they feel trapped, they leave. Controlled freedom is the real strategy. You give just enough independence to keep them satisfied, but not enough to make you irrelevant. This creates long-term dependence that is stable, not forced. This is the highest level of understanding, where you are not just applying the law, you are mastering it. Because true power is not about holding tightly, it is about knowing exactly how much to hold and how much to let go. Now bring all this knowledge into action, because power without execution is useless. Start by developing skills that are not ordinary, not basic, but valuable and rare. Do not be average in a world full of average people. Go deeper than others. Learn what others avoid. Master what others ignore. Then, position yourself around something important: information, systems, opportunities, connections. Control access to something that matters. Not by hiding everything, but by becoming the key to it. Be reliable. Be consistent. Because people depend on those they can trust, not those who are unpredictable. Show up, deliver results, and become a constant source of solutions. At the same time, protect your uniqueness. Do not make the mistake of teaching everything in a way that removes your own importance. Guide others, but keep your edge. Always stay one step ahead. Think long-term. Build systems where people naturally rely on you, whether it is in business, career, or relationships. Make yourself the center of value, not the side option. And remember, this is not about arrogance, this is about positioning. Quiet, strong, undeniable positioning. Because when you apply this correctly, you do not need to chase respect, it comes to you. You do not need to demand importance, it is given to you. And slowly, without noise, you rise into a position where your presence becomes necessary, and your absence becomes a loss. So now understand the final truth of Law 11. Power is not something you grab, it is something you become. When you make yourself indispensable, you stop fighting for a place, you become the reason that place exists. When others depend on you, your position becomes secure without struggle. Your influence grows without force. Your presence gains weight without explanation. But this must be done with intelligence, not ego. You must control value, not people. You must build reliance, not resentment. Because forced power breaks, but earned dependence lasts. The ones who truly understand this law do not run after power. They build themselves into something so valuable that power naturally surrounds them. And in the end, that is the highest level you can reach, not being the loudest, not being the richest, but being the one who cannot be replaced. Because in a world where everything can be replaced, being needed is the strongest form of security. Thank you. Remember, real power comes from understanding and applying. Stay connected with Career Canvas Power, your transformation continues.